Māori ora whānau. Welcome to this month's episode Dima. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh my lord. I mean, I got freaked out by 4 last week, but 5 means we've gone over the hump.
Yeah, we're actually on the other side.
We're speeding now.
Yeah, oh, well, this is my favourite bit. The downhill free fall. And we're really fortunate to have with us in the studio today, Jacinta Beckwith.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh,
It's
thank you
really
for
great.
having me.
Yeah. Is that your DJ name?
My DJ name?
Yeah. Jacinta B.
Jacinta B. Ah, yeah.
No he koe.
No o te poti ahau.
Oh, kia ora.
Right. He uri ahau no Ngāti Parau no Ngāti Kahungunu hoki.
Māori ora.
No wahine toa.
Brain box. True.
Yeah. That's all I keep hearing about you.
So whānau,
It's
on,
awesome.
so whānau, on today's episode we're going to be talking about this, and maybe this.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's what we do. And then we splice it in. Well,
Because we don't know what we're talking about.
Oh,
Well, we generally have a little bit of an idea.
cooking with Jacinta B.
Cook and cooking.
oh my gosh.
Here's one I prepared earlier. Did you just love the way that Hudson and Hall would just open that wall? They were flash because they had a wall oven.
They
And they'd
did. I
open it
loved
and
that
they'd pull
wall
it out.
oven.
And then one of them would be drunk and start giggling, or both of them would be drunk and start
They
giggling.
possibly did.
I have their cookbooks. I do.
Hudson and Hall cookbook.
I have some multicultural discussion.
Yeah, I'm multicultural,
Me too.
but
Me too.
I never ever break it up into quantum blood. I felt uncomfortable about.
How do you break it into quantum blood, really, if
Exactly.
you start thinking about it? If you
Exactly.
know your genealogy,
Yeah,
that's pretty impossible.
all those things all at once. Eh?
Yeah.
All those things.
It's an old way of thinking, isn't it?
Well,
Quantum.
it's a singular way.
I
of
have to
thinking.
say, I do keep catching myself in that, though. Like, because it's been used to describe me in my upbringing. If I'm sometimes explaining myself to other people, where I might recognise that that would be a way that they might understand who I am. And then I go, oh wait, why did I say that?
That's
I would never say that to
interesting.
my family. And I would
Interesting.
never say that to my people. We don't think like that. We would never say that. We would just say, like you've just said, where you're from, who your people are. We would say who our people are. Oh yeah, start with the place, then move to the individual, like, I guess it would be hapu for you guys. Yeah. And that's how we, like, so I met one of my nephews yesterday.
No.
We had a little Solomon Island gathering to welcome all the students that have just arrived from the Solomons and to welcome back all the ones that have just come back. And it was really nice to be together actually this weekend. It was particularly special. But so one of them, I usually go around and, where you from and how long you've been here, what you're studying. But first question is always, where are you from? And so this young man says to me, Lau Kwara'ai. So Lau is north and Kwara'ai is central on this island of Malaita. And I was like, oh, Lau, where? And then so he tells me the name of the island and I'm like, oh yeah? What's your second name? Because the second name always tells so I'm Irene Karongo. So Karongo tells who my line is and is always a name that will appear all the way through the line, right? So he's all Samani and I was like, oh, okay. And so my long story, I won't even go into how we're related, but we are related. And so I was just like, so then yesterday I friended him on Facebook. He's all, hello, Auntie. I was like, oh.
That's right.
But it was literally like 2 minutes to get to that place and then be like, oh, okay, right. You're here, I'm here. family.
and we have
Yeah.
eyes everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, he was looking quite fearful, actually. He just, bless his heart.
Yeah. So it's for them, the takatahi, it's an opportunity for them to feel connected to some family that if in the absolute
We
dire
always find a
circumstance,
connection, always,
they can
without a
call on
doubt.
you.
And so Karaai, so one of our other family members here, is from Karaai. So immediately I go to her and say, have you guys talked? And of course she has, because she's our auntie that is the umbrella auntie
The
for all of us.
all-seeing eye.
Yeah, she is the connection. And then we discussed who else in the country he could potentially connect to from a language perspective to help him if he's struggling or got a... And so I think, for lots of our groups, or our peoples, this is a normal way of connection, right, to support each other and to... wherever we go, when we're meeting with each other, we're also identifying with each other, so we can, under elements of stress or hard times or good times, we can connect to each other and have these support
Auntie, can I
mechanisms.
come round?
Yeah.
Feed me.
Or hey,
Feed me.
do you need some kai?
Bring
Just
your washing
call me.
and food.
If you need me, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also drop in. Depending.
Do you really want to find that out?
Oh,
though?
sometimes I might feel, hey, I'm in the neighbourhood.
So I'm just going to tell you a story about some people that I knew when I was a youngster in Dunedin.
Oh, yeah.
So this situation where it was a Saturday, so day off of study, just a chill day, and somebody was visiting somebody, and they were having this Saturday morning chill, and were a little bit out of it, and the person whose flat it was answered the door, and it was his parents from another town who had just dropped in.
Whoa.
And they're quite conservative people. Oh, that's a euphemism. Who didn't recognise the symptoms and were a little bit confused when their son went, gotta go, and actually ran past his parents on the front doorstep and took off for the rest of the day because he didn't want to have to deal with them because they'd just dropped in without announcing that they were in town or intending to visit. And he was...
My parents used to do that to me.
He's a bit out of it. So the mate who'd gone to visit, who knew the parents as well, had to entertain them for the rest of the morning, make them a cup of tea. Wasn't even his flat. So the moral to the story for those of us that are thinking of dropping by to visit our young people,
A little bit of a heads up is nice.
I think just call them on the way.
Yeah. Hey.
Give them a chance to straighten
Get
up the
together.
kitchen or, put
Get
eye
dressed.
drops in. Or,
I have to say, when it happened to me, I was actively trying to avoid connection with my parents.
Yeah.
And so that's why they would drop in.
Because you wanted to
So-
make your own way in the world.
Yeah. But also that's probably, I created it, right?
Yeah, I think given that we're kind of an age where we know of or have young adults trying to make their way in the world, I won't drop in on the big kid
I
without
wouldn't on my
invitation.
daughter, no.
No, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the invitation for a cup of tea.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But I will happily wait for it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to cramp his style in the same way that...
I actually said to our daughter the other day, I said, now, if I don't contact you, it's not because I'm not thinking of you and because I don't love you. I'm just trying to give you some space. You just let me know.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, okay.
On the other hand, I was delighted when my mum said, I'm coming to visit when I first moved to Dunedin. So I was really, really thrilled that she was coming to visit. Yeah, gave her my bed, kicked my flatmate out, took my flatmate's bed, because my flatmate had a fella that she would stay at most times anyway. But, it's like, sometimes I'm flipping. I'm turning to the other side now. Sometimes it's okay, to just unannounced.
Talking of unannounced visitors, it's a nice segue into
Oh, what a good segue.
Yeah.
into cook.
I was waiting for that.
Probably one of the
Earliest
unannounced visitors.
One
And-
well recorded, let's put it that way.
Yes.
Well
Yes.
documented.
250th.
250th commemorations.
What's the
Commemorations?
official turn of phrase at the Hocken? How are you describing it?
Tupaia encounters.
Yeah.
And I like to call it the
Oh.
exhibition that is not celebrating Cook, but the Indigenous people and the environment of what it was like at the time when he was sailing around.
So
Oh, that's so cool.
that's a great title. And so what are you doing for the exhibition?
So we're going
Neighbourhoody.
to have, it's going to be multi-sensory. We'll have out, hopefully, Lisa Reihana's In Pursuit of Venus.
Oh,
work.
amazing. Awesome.
But everything is still in
Process.
work in progress at the
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Tell us the story about Tupaia.
Tupaia, yes. Tupaia, so he was a warrior, priest, cartographer, interpreter,
Tohunga?
communicator, tohunga, from Raiatea. And he was picked up by Cook and Banks in Tahiti.
So cartographer. So he drew maps.
Charted, yes, the first chart of the Pacific.
And wasn't there, from my reading and things, I heard that at first they didn't believe his maps, and because they didn't understand the
Yeah.
way that he was thinking, and so the way they interpreted the map was completely roundabout face. And then once it was explained, then they were like, "Oh, is that right?"
This is true, yeah.
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 Quite
So
amazing.
for-
So it's about Indigenous way of thinking
It's
being
about
very
perspective.
different
Yeah.
to the British way of charting and mapping and thinking about.
Yeah. In Polynesian navigation, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
The
Yeah.
world's not fixed, it's constantly moving, which was different for them to think about.
Yeah.
I think that it's really good moment to talk about our perspective on where we are and where we're from. That I've heard the Pacific, all of it, the entire basin, being described as one land, and I struggle with that because it's one ocean. So I would like to encourage our fellow Indigenous writers to reframe that a little, because we're writing in English, so we need to be mindful of the denotation and connotation of the word land. But I understand what they're saying is that it's all connected.
Our Sea of Islands.
That's right, our Sea of Islands.
That is how it's framed
Yeah.
in the writing of that.
But
What's his name? Haofa.
I've seen a couple of
So it's been
new
reinterpreted,
Yeah, a couple
yeah,
of
right.
new writers talking about it as
That's interesting because
Yeah.
Haofa is the one that most of us go back to usually, and he specifically says our Sea of Islands,
Yeah.
as in acknowledging the ocean and acknowledging the lands as equally important,
Yeah.
but not the same.
Yeah.
Right? Is that how you would interpret it?
The connectedness.
Yeah.
So when the argument is put forward that we are immigrants to New Zealand as well as everybody else that's come here, that I would like to put forward the counter argument that we were already here, we were already circumnavigating our world, we were already in and out and had been for a really long time. We'd already recognised that there was something over there and something over there by the wave patterns and the cloud patterns and our way of seeing the world. So I can understand why people put that down. It's like, this was an uninhabited land. But I don't.
But again, that's about the importance being on. I mean, not to say that land isn't important for all of our cultures in the Pacific, but that there is an equal importance, especially for seafaring peoples, because not all Pacific Island peoples are seafaring peoples. Some are internal land-based, bush-based iwi or clans or families. But basically what I'm trying to say is that there is views that often put on us that that the land is the most precious thing, and not the understanding of the crossing in and out of sea-based time and land-based time, and that is, well, time's not the right word.
That's so relative.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's not necessarily
I
that...
I can try to get my head around it. I'm still learning.
Well, so am I. I'm just trying to articulate how I've been thinking about our peoples that have been travelling the seas for so many, for eons, really. I don't even want to put a time frame on it. Yeah. But that the idea is that we constantly, Māori came here. You hear this all the time. In this email we got on the weekend. Yeah, 850 years.
Oh, yeah.
Which is wrong.
Yeah, but again, it's
archaeologists.
It's just about what time did you arrive, rather than this idea that there's been constant movement. So how do you know that that's when you first arrived? That's the first recognition of a physical material that you can base that on.
Look at the...
But it's not necessarily in our stories. In our stories, it's about constant movement.
I know, in my newsfeed, I keep popping up about, scientists have discovered how long the Aboriginal people have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, duh.
We could ask them.
Yeah.
And they probably won't tell us because we've done nothing to earn the respect of learning and knowledge.
But it is an interesting thing, right? That, again, it's this other perspective put on rather than the indigenous framing. And I think that's really...
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's, academic education will want that linear timeline. A happened here, B happened here, C happened here, and that constant time frame. So you want to be able to go... People want to be able to pinpoint when this happened, so they've got this linear timeline, but things don't happen in a linear way.
We do know the date that the Endeavour rocked up.
That is true.
We've got a date.
That is recorded.
It's recorded on both sides.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, one on pieces of paper, and one in
oral history.
So, how many journeys did he make back and forth?
Three.
On
the Endeavour, the Adventure and Resolution, I think the 3 vessels.
So when we talk about Cook's collections in museums, they would have been taken back on different ships? Question?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
What became a Cook's collection?
I read a thing the other day, because of course we have to remember that on these ships were many, many, many people. So what is considered the official Cook collection and what was collected are two different things. So there are people that collected on those ships. That's not necessarily that material has gone into collections around the world, but it's not necessarily classed as a Cook collection. I have found pieces like that while I have been overseas.
So pieces not taken by his official hand aren't
or
considered.
Not considered, that have gone out into other collections, and they are pretty sure were collected at that time, but not necessarily.
Banks collection. But then I found out recently that those drawings I've been coveting for years because they're so beautiful, he didn't even draw them. They're not his drawings.
Are they the ones drawn by Tupaia?
No, it's his people. His entourage.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of trying to say, right, is that there were all these other people on the ship. So we hear about the most famous ones, but there were crews.
Yes, of course. There was a crew, an enormous crew of illiterate people.
Illiterate people?
Yeah. Do you think that those sailors could read? No.
See, illiteracy is a real interesting concept as well.
Yeah, we're talking about it in the Western sense.
Yes, but that's what I mean, is that there's this constant thing about, our legal system didn't have any meaning. Basically, tikanga and kawa has no meaning because it's not written. But actually, how many people on that first ship, could read anyway? They learnt the law by having their transgressions, cat o' nine tails, slashed out of them. Don't do that, or this consequence. Not, here's the statute that describes, read it, and then you'll know what's expected of you. They couldn't read. So I just think that we need to talk about the validity of the written word, which is often put on us as being what makes us inferior because we didn't have a written language. This is really
very, very, very interesting, and it goes back through all of our ancestry, both sides, right? So I think I can say for all of us, we've all got English blood or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. So our ancestors on the
Ancestry.com it.
Oh,
I don't even like using the word blood. Ancestry.
No, don't use that.
No. For so many reasons.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I will rephrase that. It's a good touch point, but it's not necessarily the truth. Those digital programs, and also all the data is living offshore.
Ancestry.com, you meaning?
Yeah,
right.
Any genealogy programs, so that's something to be mindful of. But don't take that as verbatim.
Yeah.
Go and ask your whānau for information. Yeah, ask your nan. But because I know.
And if you can't ask your nan, ask the next best person.
And don't do those DNA.
Oh, but what about Lisa?
Doing the DNA study?
Yeah. Pacifica whānau, so comes with that.
I have to say, I really did I participated in that study as part of the Solomon Island community. She actively sought people from every community in Dunedin, because she recognised that there wasn't diversity in the samples that she was getting from going to places like the farmers market or going to, yeah. So
well, some of us go for the pastries, the dumplings.
Yeah. So she did actually go and meet with lots of those. But yes, that's a whole other conversation, really, that study.
Yeah, I was talking about the one that you pay for online.
Yeah, I realised that. Just kind of moulded into...
Just to make the different...
Yeah.
It's interesting, but back to that blood quantum.
So my sister and I are identical in every single way. We have the same parents. We have really similar taste. We have the same shoe size. And yet, look at us. We look like different ancestors. So it's going to be pretty obvious that if we do a DNA test, that we're going to end up with different results.
Of course you are.
Because what's dominant in her is different to what's dominant in me. We have different eye colour, different skin colour, with different nose shape. But we're identical, and our husbands sometimes confuse us at a distance because our body language is almost identical as well. We walk alike. We love dancing with each other. We dance alike, It just is an illustration of how your nearest and dearest, your sister, that is the person that knows you the most intimately in the early years of your life. You've had similar experiences, and yet the relatively cheap online DNA test is going to show you as being from a different whakapapa when you're not. This is a way of illustrating the warning that
selection.
Yeah, the results you get aren't going to be particularly accurate.
If it's for entertainment.
Oh yeah, it's a check not out.